Growing up super skinny, I didn't realize it at the time, but my level of self-perception and self-confidence was actually quite diminished compared to where it should have been. Also, the way that people would treat me was just a lot different to how you should be treated if you're a man. For example, they wouldn't treat me badly, but they just wouldn't show me as much respect as you should be commanding if you're a young man. So in this video, I'm going to go over exactly how putting on 20 kg of muscle, staying lean, and just building up that lean frame is going to really build up that foundation, which is the key and the essence to have a great male life. One of the biggest issues that I keep seeing today is that so many people are just really out of shape. This in stats showing that like 50% of people above the age of 30 in America are actually obese, which is quite shocking. And that doesn't mean to say that these other 50% are actually in really good shape, because a lot of them are really thin, a lot of them have anorexia, some of them are actually in like a skinny fat kind of physique where their body composition's off, but they're not actually in that obese bracket. And it's just like quite sad to see that people just aren't taking care of themselves and they aren't worried about how they're actually presenting themselves to people. So if you think about this and think about how many people are out of shape, people have just given up, they found it hard to really get down to that chiseled physique to actually build up that nice frame. How do you think people are going to react when they see someone who's in that top 1% physique? A lot of times, people when they see someone who's actually put in this effort, builds up this physique, they see them a lot differently, and subconsciously, they really show them a lot more respect towards this person. And a lot of it's just because it's actually really tough and it takes a lot of discipline and self-love to actually get to that phrase where you're in that like top 1% physique, where you're chiseled, you're lean, and you're still build on a ton of muscle as well at the same time. So this is something which I believe every man should be striving for. It's just really going to lay that foundation and just give you a really good male life. So the first point and the first reason why just building up an aesthetic physique is really going to lay that foundation for you is just because of the way that others are going to treat you and the status that it kind of gives you. If you've built up a really nice physique, it's just sending people status signals, showing them that you're someone who actually values yourself, how you present yourself to people, that you actually care about yourself and your own health and well-being. And this is something which people are just really going to respect about you. So people are actually hardwired to respect people who are in fantastic shape. So even if you think that this is morally wrong, if you're in a much better physical condition and you've built up muscle and you don't have much body fat, people are just going to treat you a lot differently compared to other people who don't put in any effort. Maybe they're a little bit overweight and they're fat and they don't have that muscle and that body composition which is desirable. And some of the reason for this is just because if you think back to kind of like primal ancestor days, people just see someone who's strong, physically fit as just more of a threat to people, more of a threat to you. And that's just carried on into today, even though it's not as relevant today. It's just part of the reason why people are just going to subconsciously see you as more of a threat, and they're just going to treat you a lot differently. They're just going to show you a lot more respect. And besides this, they also just see you as someone who's actually really cares about themselves, and this is just another reason why people are just really going to start respecting you more. So I've found in my experience that after building up this frame and like building up a strong physique, that people really start to just treat you quite a lot better. I'm getting a lot more compliments, and you just start to feel a lot more confident in yourself. People just start to treat you better with more respect. And this portrays into the office that you work in, university or school you go to, just like friendship groups. People just really start to ask you questions and ask you for help and just really show you, like, they start to really give you a lot more compliments. And it just really shows that if you do build up this nice frame, this nice physique, people really tell and they do really respect it. So the next point, which is arguably the most essential point, is your self-confidence and your self-esteem is actually going to massively improve when you get into like fantastic shape. And the reason for this is because if you've grown up skinny or you've grown up fat or just out of shape, you've kind of built up this perception of yourself that you're that person who's skinny or you're that person who just can't lose weight. And if you get to the point where you put in the effort and you start gymming consistently, eating the right foods, and you've actually started to build up a frame, what you find is that your level of self-pride and your self-perception is just going to significantly increase. So this is going to help you in all areas of life. If you've got that confidence and you're someone who doesn't break promises to yourselves, you told yourself that you're going to go to the gym, you're going to eat healthy, and you start doing it. This just portrays a level of confidence that just kind of flows into all areas of your life. And people really start to pick up on this. They can see that you've been taking care of yourself, you've built up your confidence, you're keeping the promises you made to yourself. And this is just leads into why people just respect you so much more. But besides this, the way that you actually start to feel about yourself just really improves, which is absolutely essential, especially if you're a young man. You do not want to be someone who lowers themselves or doesn't like themselves as much as they should be, because your mind and your body, these are some of your biggest assets. So you want them to be on your side. So if you're someone who gets in the gym, works really hard, even when they don't feel like it, and just constantly builds up that discipline, this is just really going to massively increase how you feel about yourself, your level of confidence, your self-esteem. And this is just going to really just give you that foundation that you need to just go out and do things, to build up your confidence, and to just really create a much better life for yourself. One side point to mention is that if you do get into fantastic shape, the amount of energy that you're going to have day to day is just really going to improve. So this is going to help you with your studies, with your social life, with a business you're building, or just anything that you want to do, whether it's even hitting the gym or exercising, going for a run. If you just have this elevated level of energy because you're in a healthier, fitter state, you're eating healthier foods, you've released those endorphins, and you got that dopamine release from working out, this is just really going to give you so much more energy, which just flows and portrays into every area of your life. So people think that fitness is just about building muscle, just about trying to look good and impress people. It's actually not the case at all. If you have a strong body, you're just going to lead to having a much stronger mind, which is just going to flow into everything. You're going to have more confidence, you're going to have a lot more energy, you're going to have more drive and desire, and you're just going to be able to do more things. If you see people who just sit around a lot and they're a lot more lethargic, they're sitting on the couch, scrolling on their phone, complaining they're tired, a lot of times it's just because they just don't have that energy, because they're fueling their body with the wrong foods, and they just don't care about losing the fat and everything on their body, which is just actually making them feel more lethargic and tired. If you get into fantastic shape, you're going to feel fantastic, you're going to perform a lot better in everything, and you're going to be able to go out and do more. People like to say that women don't care about people who are in good shape and they want people with dad bods. They don't care about people who gym. And I think that subconsciously everyone knows that this is false. It's actually been proven that women are they're actually hardwired to desire people who are sitting within a 24 to 26 BMI. Or that they have a shoulder to waist ratio of 1.6 to 1. So if you've built up that V-taper and you've got a wide shoulders and you've built on a little bit of muscle or even just a decent amount of muscle and you've trimmed down the fat, you're going to be hardwired to be significantly more attractive. And people know this. You're going to start to notice this if you build up this frame. You're going to get a lot more compliments and your life's just going to become a lot easier. You just notice that you're just automatically so much more attractive. So finally, just to wrap things up, if you actually put in the effort and you build up this nice frame, you've built up a wide shoulders, you've put on a bit of muscle, you've trimmed down that fat, you're just going to feel so much more healthier, you're going to be so much more happier. Your confidence, the way you see yourself is going to improve, and the way that others see you and treat you is just massively going to improve. So these are some of the pillars which are just the foundation to have a great male life, because everything you do now is just 10x. Everything is just so much easier. You when you speak to people, they show you more respect. People start to move out the way for you and just open doors for you. And people are more receptive to actually speaking to you and getting to know you if you're someone who you've shown that you care about yourself and you take care of yourself. So if you can put this together and you can actually build up that frame and that physique, it's just going to flow into every area of your life, make your life so much better, more enjoyable. And this is why I think that building up that frame, building up that physique, the confidence that you build along the way, is just a foundation for a great man of life.